The 2004 Madrid train bombings were nearly simultaneous, coordinated bombings against the Cercanías commuter train system of Madrid, Spain. On the morning of the 11th of March 2004, 3 days before Spain's general elections, the explosions killed 191 people and injured more than 1,800. The official investigation by the Spanish judiciary found that the attacks were directed by an al-Qaeda-inspired terrorist cell, although no direct al-Qaeda participation has been established. Though they had no role in the planning or implementation, the Spanish miners who sold the explosives to the terrorists were also arrested. Controversy regarding the handling and representation of the bombings by the government arose, with Spain's two main political parties and Partido Popular accusing each other of concealing or distorting evidence for electoral reasons. The bombings occurred 3 days before general elections in which incumbent José María Aznar's PP was defeated. Immediately after the bombing, leaders of the PP claimed evidence indicating the Basque separatist organization, ETA, was responsible for the bombings, while Islamist responsibility would have had the opposite effect, as it would have been seen as a consequence of the PP government taking Spain into the Iraq War, a policy extremely unpopular with Spaniards. Nationwide demonstrations and protests followed the attacks asking the government to tell the truth. The predominant view among political analysts is that the Aznar administration lost the general elections as a result of the handling and representation of the terrorist attacks, rather than because of the bombings per se. The bombings constituted the deadliest terrorist attack in Spanish history and among the worst in the history of Europe. It was the worst attack to occur in Europe since the 1988 Lockerbie bombing. After 21 months of investigation, Judge Juan del Olmo processed Moroccan national Jamal Zougam, among several others, for his participation carrying out the attack. The September 2007 sentence established no known mastermind nor direct al-Qaeda link, but experts have repeatedly said that there is no such thing as an intellectual author in Spanish law. Description of the bombings. During the peak of Madrid rush hour on the morning of Thursday the 11th of March 2004, 10 explosions occurred aboard 4 commuter trains. The date led to the popular abbreviation of the incident as 11M. All the affected trains were traveling on the same line and in the same direction between Alcalá de Henares and the Atocha station in Madrid. It was later reported that 13 improvised explosive devices had been placed on the trains. Bomb disposal teams arriving at the scenes of the explosions detonated 2 of the remaining 3 IEDs in controlled explosions, but the third was not found until later in the evening, having been stored inadvertently with luggage taken from one of the trains. The following timeline of events comes from the judicial investigation. All 4 trains had departed the Alcalá de Henares station between 7:01 and 7:14. The explosions took place between 7:37 and 7:40, as described below. Atocha station, 3 bombs exploded. Based on the video recording from the station's security system, the first bomb exploded at 7:37, and 2 others exploded within 4 seconds of each other at 7:38. I saw bodies flying, he said. There was a security guard dripping with blood. People were pushing and running. I saw a woman who had fallen on the tracks because people were pushing so hard. I escaped with my life by a hair. El Pozo del Tío Raimundo station. At approximately 7:38, just as the train was starting to leave the station, 2 bombs exploded in different carriages. Santa Eugenia station, 1 bomb exploded at approximately 7:38. Caltales, approximately 800 meters from Atocha station, 4 bombs exploded in different carriages of the train at approximately 7:39. At 800, emergency relief workers began arriving at the scenes of the bombings. The police reported numerous victims and spoke of 50 wounded and several dead. By 8:30 the emergency ambulance service, SAMUR, had set up a field hospital at a DAOIZYV-led sports facility. Bystanders and local residents helped relief workers, as hospitals were told to expect the arrival of many casualties. At 8:43, firefighters reported 15 dead at El Pozo. By 900, the police had confirmed the death of at least 30 people, 20 at El Pozo and about 10 in Santa Eugenia and Atocha. People combed the city's major hospitals in search of family members who they thought were aboard the trains. Nationalities of the victims. The total number of victims was higher than in any other terrorist attack in Spain, far surpassing the 21 killed and 40 wounded from a 1987 bombing at a Hipercor chain supermarket in Barcelona. On that occasion, responsibility was claimed by ETA. It was Europe's worst terror attack since the bombing of Pan Am Flight 103 over Lockerbie, Scotland, in December 1988. Further bombings spur investigation. A device composed of 12 kilograms of Goma 2 Eco with a detonator and 136 meters of wire was found on the track of a high-speed railway line on 2 April. The Spanish judiciary chose not to investigate that incident and the perpetrators remain unknown. The device used in the Avenue incident was unable to explode because it lacked an initiation system. Shortly after the Avenue incident, police identified an apartment in Leganés, south of Madrid, as the base of operations for the individuals suspected of being the perpetrators of the Madrid and Avenue attacks. The suspected militants, headed by Jamal Zougam, Sahana Abdelmaji, the Tunisian, and Jamal Armadan, the Chinese, were trapped inside the apartment by a police raid on the evening of Saturday 3 April. At 9:03 p.m., when the police started to assault the premises, the militants committed suicide by setting off explosives, killing themselves and one of the police officers. Investigators subsequently found that the explosives used in the Leganés explosion were of the same type as those used in the 11th of March attacks in the thwarted bombing of the Avenue line. Based on the assumption that the militants killed at Leganés were indeed the individuals responsible for the train bombings, the ensuing investigation focused on how they obtained their estimated 200 kilograms of explosives. The investigation revealed that they had been bought from a retired miner who still had access to blasting equipment. 5 to 8 suspects believed to be involved in the 11th of March attacks managed to escape. In December 2006, the newspaper ABC reported that ETA reminded Spanish Prime Minister Zapatero about the 11th of March 2004 as an example of what could happen unless the government considered their petitions. Although the source also makes it clear that ETA had nothing to do with the attack itself. Aftermath. In France, the Vigipirate plan was upgraded to orange level. In Italy, the government declared a state of high alert. In December 2004, José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero claimed that the PP government erased all of the computer files related to the Madrid bombings, leaving only the documents on paper. On 25 March 2005, prosecutor Olga Sanchez asserted that the bombings happened 911 days after the 11th of September attacks due to the highly symbolic and Kabbalistic charge for local al-Qaeda groups of choosing that day. Because 2004 was a leap year, 912 days had elapsed between the 11th of September 2001 and the 11th of March 2004. On the 27th of May 2005, the Prüm Convention, implementing inter alia the principle of availability which began to be discussed after the Madrid bombings, was signed by Germany, Spain, France, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Austria, and Belgium. On 4 January 2007, El País reported that Algerian Dowd Unana, who was considered to be the mastermind of the 11M bombings, has been searching for ways to return to Spain to prepare further attacks, though this has not been confirmed. On 17 March 2008, Basil Gahaleon, Mohammed Al-Mala Dabas, Abdallah El-Fajul Al-Akil and Raul González Peña, having been previously found guilty by the Audiencia Nacional, were released after a higher court ruling. This court also verified the release of the Egyptian Rabbi Osman al-Sayed.